going, Yankee fans? Welcome back to Fireside Yankees with your boys, Alex and Ryan, coming off 3 wins in the Yankees' last 4 games. It kind of doesn't feel like the Yankees have won 3 of the last 4. It kind of feels like they're a bad team failing to score runs, which they are right now, but the pitching has been excellent. It has been phenomenal. The bullpen has been electric. You saw Ian Hamilton yesterday. Even Clay Holmes had a 7-pitch outing, which got out of it pretty quickly. So you're seeing the Yankees kind of step up right now in the pitching department to supplement their offensive inconsistencies. But we want to talk about a hero, Harry the Hero. We want to talk about Aaron Judge returning early this week. He's expected to make a return on Tuesday and the impact it's going to have on this team. Now, the Yankees, as I said, are struggling to score runs. They're struggling offensively pretty much across the board. Yesterday, the top of the order had his fair share of struggles. Rizzo got on base, obviously had a run, had a hit, but Anthony Volpe walked but struggled a little bit. Gleyber Torres' numbers have been plummeting. I do want to address that and kind of where his value is going in the near future. He's kind of a streaky hitter, and right now he's in a really bad cold streak. So we'll kind of see how things progress. But getting some of these guys healthy, seeing the unexpected impact of Harrison Bader as an offensive weapon, not just a defensive piece, but an offensive weapon, is a really cool catalyst behind his success recently. Before we dive into all the good stuff, Ryan, how you do today, my friend?
I'm doing great. As you mentioned, Harrison Bader's addition to this lineup, we felt the impact immediately. And, when we were talking about Harrison Bader coming back, we all recognize, he's more of a league average hitter, but it's the gap between him and the guys the Yankees are currently playing in the outfield. That's the big boost, right? It's the boost from, seeing Aaron Hicks and IKF playing daily to now Harrison Bader's part of the equation. And I know that IKF and Hicks both played yesterday, but with Judge coming back, there are some interesting decisions they're going to have to make. Are they going to option Jake Bauers? I don't know. I would feel like that's kind of a weird thing to do this early on. Are they going to DFA Calhoun or maybe option him? They could do that. But now if you look at Aaron Hicks, Calhoun's hit decently. I'm not like a guy sitting here saying that Willie Calhoun's like the best hitter in the world, but he's been okay lately, right? Are you going to reward that with a DFA? Bauers has a home run, and while he's been defensively very inconsistent, he also has defensive highlights as well, so it just feels like maybe it's a comfort thing in the outfield. And of course, he's hit the ball pretty hard in his stint up here, so there has to be some excitement internally as an organization as to what you can get from Jake Bauers. Aaron Hicks kind of feels like the odd man out, right? That's the guy. That's the guy who's been the worst player on this team. That's the guy who's struggled to hit all year. That's the guy who doesn't have the defensive versatility that IKF does. For as much as IKF isn't a good hitter, he can play center field and play it well, and he can also play the infield. Hicks cannot be relied upon to play center field. He's currently struggling in left field. So, you're starting to get an opportunity to cut out dead weight from the roster, which I think is important, right? The problem with this team is their depth stinks, right? And then when you have Bader, when you have Judge, that deepens the lineup. I know Gleyber's struggling, but if you can move him down the lineup, put a little less pressure on him, perhaps that helps him get things going. He's still not striking out. He's still walking a ton. You feel like it's a matter of if, not when in terms of him turning it around. LeMahieu's been pretty solid all year. Rizzo's been pretty solid all year. Volpe's still battling through ups and downs as a rookie, but you expected that. But adding Judge and Bader in there just gives you more options. It gives you more weapons offensively. And suddenly that lineup is able to get more runs across. So, obviously it sucks to not have Judge for this Rays series, but Harrison Bader has certainly lived up to the billing and lived up to the hype of, hey, we finally have him back, and now we finally have, a starting center fielder, right? Again, no disrespect to IKF as a person. Like, he's doing his best out there. And I imagine that he's working his tail off. Like, to learn how to play center field and put up positive defensive numbers is impressive in its own right. But Harrison Bader is clearly the better player, and that's the guy I want out there. So now you get to play a little bit more to matchups, and you're seeing the impact with these big clutch hits late in games.
Yeah, you referenced Aaron Hicks a minute ago, and it's an interesting conversation to have, right? Like, the Yankees are paying him $30 million over the next 3 years, including this season. So the conversation to have is, are they better off using that roster spot elsewhere? Like, are they better off paying him to not be on the team? Because he is a -6 WRC plus, dude. Like, you're talking about a player that's 106% worse than the average MLB player, which is almost unfathomable to logically kind of comprehend. Now, do you look at Willie Calhoun and say, hey, this is a player that's making next to nothing, right? He's not making any money, but he's much more valuable than Aaron Hicks just based on his offensive contributions. Aaron Hicks' defense has fallen off a cliff. He's no longer even a semblance of a major league starting player. You know what I mean? Are they better off paying him to not be on the team? Like, he can fill a supplementary role But are we really going to sit here and act like the Yankees don't have Elijah Dunham in AAA and he would be any worse? You know what I mean? They have other options. Hicks is a veteran. They don't want to call up all their youngsters at one time. They want to have some experience there. But at some point, you have to look at the numbers and say, look, this guy isn't cutting it. This guy just is not. 3 consecutive years of awful performance. And after last season, I don't know about you, but I didn't think it could get any worse. I didn't think it could get any worse for Aaron Hicks. And somehow it's gotten twice as bad. And that just comes to, has to make you think, what is the reason to keep him around? The roster spot is being wasted. That's a wasted 26-man roster spot. And at this point, you have to make the logical choice and say you probably have to DFA him because you can't trade him, right? Nobody wants him. Nobody even wants him on the roster. Even if you were to say, we'll give you a prospect to pay, for a portion of his salary, you have to give up a prospect. How much is that prospect going to be worth? If it's it's going to have to be a decent prospect, right? To convince another team to take on his salary, you're better off keeping your youngster and just paying the salary because that prospect may end up returning that value in the future, returning that salary, returning that money. You know what I mean? So the Yankees have a difficult decision to make right here, and eventually Brian Cashman's going to have to swallow his pride and say, this player is no longer capable of contributing toward a World Series caliber roster. As he said himself, we have a World Series caliber team. Aaron Hicks is 106% worse than the average player. You tell me, is he capable of contributing towards this team? I know the resounding answer is no across the board. So, looking at the outfield, things are starting to get a little bit better. You see Harrison Bader's impact, a 3-run homer on Friday. Of course, the Yankees don't win that game, but they were really close to making that comeback. And then yesterday, huge opposite field kind of slap little wedge hit single, drives in 2 runs. That's the winning hit. And, bottom of the 8th, or top of the 8th inning rather. So the Yankees have a good opportunity to win that game. They do close it out with some good pitching. But Harrison Bader's impact unexpectedly has been tremendous, right? Nobody expects him to be that clutch factor, right? The postseason gave us a glimpse of what he's capable of in terms of the 5 homers in 9 games and 6 RBIs. But you look at this season so far, he is proving to be something that he traditionally hasn't been throughout his career, and that is a clutch factor. And there is an interesting catalyst behind this. I'm sure most of you guys don't know this. He's really good friends with Pete Alonso of the Mets. And Pete Alonso has a really specific bat style. He got a bat from Pete Alonso, signed by him, and he used it in batting practice one day. And realized, wow, this is a different style than I've ever used. It kind of has more of an axe handle than it does a traditional wood bat. And he started to say, you know what, I think there's something here. My swings feel smoother. It feels a little bit more controlled. I have a little bit better leverage on it. And he started to manufacture these bats that fit that kind of profile a little bit more, that kind of axe handle. And he's been killing it with this specific bat. You look at what he did last year in the postseason, you look what he's did across a small sample size this year. This is not the same offensive player we've seen in the past. Harrison Bader's career best season came back in 2000 and 2021. 267 here with a 324 OBP. It's decent. It's okay. It was 110 WRC plus, so 10% better than the average player. But a lot of that number comes from his defensive prowess, where he had 15 defensive runs saved. He's a 3.3 WAR player. But the bat shift has changed his entire fundamental, has changed his swing, has given him a lot more confidence. And he's been excellent to start this year. Of course, like I said, the sample size is only 13 plate appearances over 4 games. But he stepped in and immediately became the impact piece we needed. And now we've won 3 of our last 4 games. And the Yankees, while they are 9 games back in the AL East, now have a player that can help them offensively. He has to be in the lineup every day. And I know they want to give him some time. They don't want to overdo it with him and give him the proper time to kind of reacclimate to baseball, the major league level, because of the injury he just is coming off of. But how excited are you to see that? Harrison Bader seems to be hitting a different stride with his offense, which traditionally he's been a below average offense player in his career, but now maybe we're seeing him blossom into something a little bit more. How essential is that for the Yankees? And do you think that justifies maybe considering extending him beyond this season despite the injury concerns? I know this is a big talking point, injuries for the Yankees. I'm curious to see what Brian Cashman does if Bader has a dominant rest of the year for us. But, of course, I'd love a healthy guy. But I want to get your take on kind of his offensive qualities. If things do continue at this pace, what is the conversation we have to have there?
Yeah, I don't really like the idea of the Yankees being a team that rosters long-term another injury-prone player. I love Harrison Bader, but I gotta see what the market value is. There's a lot of different factors there. And of course, you already have the issues with Stanton. Rodon's going to be injury-prone. That's just those are what those two guys, that's part of the package there. That's why you signed Rodon, who was a guy who pitched like a top 5 pitcher for 2 years, but didn't command, Garrett Cole type money, right? There's a reason for that because Garrett Cole can throw 200 innings. That's why he's making twice as much as Rodon over the course of his contract. One of the big things with Harrison Bader has always been, the raw power, I think, has always been underrated. If you look at some of his max exit velocity numbers, they're pretty damn good. He has some pretty good raw power. He's clocked in at 113.6 in 2018, 111.5 in 2021. In the postseason with the Yankees, he was able to get it north of 110 miles an hour as well. I think it's totally possible that he puts up a 2021 stat line in terms of his offensive numbers. And considering that this team just needs some depth offensively, I'm cool with it, right? That would be more than awesome. That'd be excellent for the Yankees. Again, I think Volpe settles at around a 105 WRC plus in his rookie year. The history or the historical trends for shortstops in their rookie year would suggest that it's really hard to get over a 100 WRC plus. That's just not something you see rookies or rookie shortstops in general doing. As for Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, Gleyber Torres, DJ LeMahieu, Anthony Rizzo, I expect them to be productive hitters. And so when I have 5 guys who I know can be productive, I just need the rest of my lineup to hold their weight. I know what I'm not going to get from Jose Trevino and Kyle Higashioka. I'm aware of that, and I understand that. And now the rest of the lineup is kind of just like wild cards. Volpe, Bader, and then, obviously Donaldson gets involved at times, whether it's Peraza, whether it's a Jake Bowers or a Willie Calhoun type, whatever it may be. You just got to hope that, about 2 of those 3 wild cards in Bader, Volpe, and then whoever's that final hitter, that 2 of them are able to give you offense or at least live up to their projections, because if they are, this team's going to be that much better. End of the day, I don't think you and I are sitting here saying, man, when Anthony Rizzo's up, this team stinks. It's more like, yeah, when Anthony Rizzo's up, after Anthony Rizzo and Mike LeMahieu, it's a lot of not great. And that's kind of the issue there. But you notice this team's different with Willie Calhoun being solid, just okay, right? Now, Willie Calhoun's no longer awful. The team suddenly changes, right? When you get your depth to be close to league average, that makes a difference. IKF hitting his first extra base hit with, I know again that Kiner Falefa has not played well this season, but him being his 2022 self offensively is a massive improvement. Like, we're talking about Aaron Hicks' -6 WRC plus. IKF's at a 34. Last year was at 85. He's literally worse than half of what he was last year offensively. And as you mentioned, Aaron Hicks, he's a literal net negative, right? I don't know why they're starting him today against the Rays. I don't know why he's in there instead of Jake Bowers. I think that's doubly stupid. I don't care that Jake Bowers may not be able to catch a fly ball. I will take the Russian roulette with him and fly balls. But end of the day, you just need solid, right? You just need solid from the guys outside of your main 5. And Harrison Bader can definitely provide that.
That's right. I mean, look, Harrison Bader can definitely provide that. And Judge coming back too really rounds out this outfield and at least gives us some hope offensively for the unit. So I'll ask you this, though. Left field. When Judge comes back and Bader's in center field, who is your preference to start in left field?
Yeah, so my left fielder right now, I mean, it's kind of a mix, right? Cabrera hasn't really hit, so I don't want to say that he has earned the job. I don't think he has. Hicks, obviously not a factor there at all. He's pretty bad. Calhoun, I think is more of a DH. I don't think I'm throwing him in the outfield. I think I just kind of like see what I have in Jake Bowers, right? I'm a Jake Bowers guy. I believe in the AAA hard hit data. So, I think that you can't really lose much with playing him. And then if he sucks, then you option him, right? You're going to have about a month, let's say, with Stanton. I know Stanton's doing some like running or some light activity, so I don't think he's more than like a month out, barring any setbacks. If he's able to, you give Jake Bowers basically, hey, here's a month. You, Hicks, Cabrera, and IKF battle it out. Now, Hicks is probably not going to win that, but those 3 guys are going to have a nice opportunity to fight for a job, and I think that's the right way to handle it. End of the day, I think we can both agree that no matter how things go for this Yankees team, it's very likely that they're going to need to add an outfield bat, and it's going to have to be a left fielder. So right now, you're just trying to see what sticks, play the hot hand. I don't care who it is. If Aaron Hicks somehow turns around and has like a 100 something WRC plus over the next month, that's the guy you play, right? I don't care what the name on their jersey is. I don't care what the number on their jersey is. Whoever's the best left fielder, they're the guy who plays, right? You got to ride the hot hand there. You don't have a definitive major league starting outfielder there. And that's, whether we want to sit here and blame Brian Cashman, whether we want to sit here and blame injuries, whatever it may be, the reason that you're in this spot does not matter. You just have to figure out a way to get out of it. And I think Aaron Boone, that's the way he's going to have to handle it. So right field, Judge; center field, Bader; left field is just may the best man win type of situation right now. Maybe get creative. Maybe Donna comes up, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, right now it's like you're kind of like playing Russian roulette. Like any given day, someone could have a terrible game. Any given day, someone could be okay. I mean, IKF had what two hits yesterday, so maybe he's going to start hitting a little bit more. Cabrera has been just awful. It's been so unfortunate to watch because we love Oswaldo Cabrera. We love him, and we want him to be so successful. But the kid is hitting 188 with a 218 OBP. I mean, he's at 26 WRC plus. Like, it's just simply unacceptable at the major league level. You need more from guys like this. You need more from, like, he's supposed to be your super utility guy, and he is. Like, he can play defense at a high level at multiple spots, but offensively he's a liability. You just can't ride with that sometimes. With that being said, when Judge comes back and him and Bader are in the lineup every day, I think we're going to see Oswaldo Cabrera's role diminish pretty fast if he can't start hitting. And to be honest with you, Ryan, and I want your take on this, I would be open to sending him back down to AAA to get his confidence back. You know what I mean? Because, like, he's lost up there, man. You can tell he's not feeling and he's not confident in the batter's box. His head is hanging. He doesn't have that same, even the aggressiveness is just, it's tough. But when you look at what the Yankees can do for him, you send him back down, you adjust his swing, you figure things out, and ultimately you need him to step up. Maybe you send him back down just to get some hits, get a little bit of momentum, and then you elevated him again and just kind of use that as a springboard. What are your thoughts on that with Oswaldo?
Yeah, that's definitely going to be in the cards at some point, right? His struggles have been that bad. It's one of those situations where, actually, now that you mention it, if the Yankees don't DFA Hicks, I wonder if Judge coming back could be, a situation where they option Cabrera. That's not, I think, completely out of the cards. I hope the Yankees have the confidence in him and the realization that Hicks is just that bad to just get rid of Hicks. I don't think there's another move that I think that we can agree the best move they can make there is just get rid of Hicks. For as bad as Cabrera's been at the plate, he's at least defensively versatile, and has been like 40% better than Hicks offensively, which is incredible to say out loud because that's how bad Hicks has been. But that's a legitimate option. If the Yankees really don't want to DFA anyone, that's the guy with maybe minor league options, right? If he can get his swing right, if he can get things going, maybe he comes up and he figures it out. But for now, as you mentioned, he's been beyond a net negative. He's been atrocious at the plate, and that's got to change at some point. And if it doesn't, then you're right, minor league baseball. That's going to have to be what he has to settle for.
Yeah, I guess we'll see what happens. But of course, I'd love for him to stick around and start heating up and not have to kind of get doomed to that reality. But the Yankees are getting better right now, slowly but surely. They won through the last 4 games. Pitching has been excellent today. We got Garrett Cole on the mound against the Rays in the final game of this 3-game series before we take on the Oakland Athletics, who are an awful baseball team. We must sweep the Athletics. If the Yankees want to get back in this division quickly, they must beat the Rays today, sweep the Athletics, get healthier, and get back after the Rays after that. So it's going to be a tough couple days. We need to beat bad teams. That's what happens when you're, struggling yourself. The best way to get to kind of revitalize your game is to beat the crap out of shitty teams and ride that success and you build your confidence. Baseball is a game is mental fortitude. You know what I mean? Baseball is all about mental fortitude, mental confidence, and going up there with a plan and being confident you're going to make a play in a big moment. And Harrison Bader, kind of skipped out on all the past kind of 2 weeks of really awful performances from the Yankees, and that negative energy hasn't hit him. He's kind of a spark plug. He came in, the Yankees won 3 of 4 games, luckily, and he's feeling good and feeling confident, and he's bringing that spark. Hopefully yesterday's win gave them that little bit of energy to get back in the win column again against a really, really good Rays team. But, Cole has had struggles, has had issues with Tampa in the past, but he is on a Cy Young freaking tear this year. He wants it. You can tell he's pitching with a purpose. We need an ace caliber performance today. We need him to kick some serious Tampa ass, and I'm excited to see what he can do, guys. But as always, make sure to like and subscribe to the Fireside Yankees podcast below. Leave a 5-star review if you are so kind. Let's go Yankees, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.